She was sitting alone at the wedding, lost in her own silence, until a mysterious billionaire leaned in and whispered, "Pretend you are my beloved." But what started as a lie would unravel secrets, awaken forgotten wounds, and lead to a love that neither of them saw coming. Stay with me till the end, because this story will change how you see love, loss, and what truly matters. Before we begin this story, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss any of our powerful, life-changing content. If you enjoy what you hear, like the video and share the channel with others. This is more than just storytelling. Every narrative we share carries a meaningful moral lesson designed to inspire, uplift, and transform. She was sitting alone at the wedding, until a billionaire whispered, "Pretend you are my beloved." I was never supposed to be there. Not at that wedding. Not in that tuxedo. Not in that life. But fate has a strange way of dragging you into the spotlight when you least want it. I was only 3 years removed from homelessness. 5 years since I had tasted betrayal so deep, it nearly drowned me. 10 years since I watched my mother die in a hospital that would not treat her, because we could not afford hope. And there I was, a billionaire. The ballroom glittered. People clinked champagne glasses like their lives had never known pain. Everyone was laughing, smiling, perfect. Except her. She was sitting alone. In a sea of velvet gowns and practiced smiles, she looked real. A blue dress, too simple for this crowd. Hair pinned back like she was trying to disappear. She was not looking for anyone. But I could not stop looking at her. And then it happened. Across the room, a woman, an ex draped in diamonds and venom, locked eyes with me. She smirked. Like she still owned me. Like she remembered the man I used to be, before the money. Before I escaped. I turned away. Walked straight to the woman in the blue dress. Knees weak. Heart roaring. I leaned in close. She flinched. My voice was low. "Pretend you are my beloved." She blinked. Confused. Guarded. But then, she nodded. Just once. Her hand found mine trembling. I guided her to her feet. Our bodies moved together as if this lie had always been the truth. And for a moment, I forgot it was pretend. Her name was Eliza. A schoolteacher. Lost her fiancé in a car crash 2 years ago. Her smile carried a wound I recognized, because I had worn it too. We danced like the past had not broken us. We laughed like we had never cried. I whispered things I had not told anyone in years. And she listened. Not because I was rich, but because she cared. When the music stopped, I felt it. The silence that follows when a part of you returns home. She started to walk away. The spell was breaking. I caught her wrist. "Eliza," I said, "let us make this lie real." She stared at me, hurt flashing in her eyes. "I do not need saving," she whispered. I nodded. "I do." She did not say yes. She did not say no. She left. And I was standing alone again, but changed. I did not know then that she would be the woman to rebuild me. That she would teach me how to love the man I had become. Not the billionaire. Not the mask. Just me. And she would not return easily. Not without testing every corner of my soul. But I would chase her. Because that night, I learned something I had spent a lifetime ignoring. Even the richest man in the world is poor, if he walks alone. I searched for her. Not in tabloids. Not with assistants or drivers. I searched with my own 2 hands, the way I had built everything else in my life. One step at a time. One heartbreak at a time. I found her 3 weeks later. Outside a quiet library on the east side of town. She was carrying a paper bag of groceries, fumbling with her keys. Hair windswept. Shoes dusty. Still beautiful. I stood across the street, afraid to move. Afraid that if I did, she might disappear again. She saw me, paused. Her eyes narrowed, unsure. Not angry, just waiting. I crossed slowly. The world around me blurred. All I could see was her. Eliza, I said, my voice breaking in ways money could not fix. I came to apologize. She said nothing, just opened her door, walked inside, and left it open. I followed. Her apartment was small. Books stacked on windowsills. A photo of her late fiancé on the mantel. The scent of vanilla and something earthy, like old paper and fresh beginnings. She poured tea. Saturday. Waited. I used you, I said, sitting across from her. I dragged you into my world for one night because I was afraid to face my past. Still, she said nothing. I stared at the floor. I never thought I would see you again. But since that night, I cannot stop thinking about who I was when I was with you. Someone better. Someone real. She placed her cup down gently. Her voice, when it came, was calm. Not cruel. Not cold. You are not the only one who wore a mask that night. I looked up. She smiled soft, sad. I sat at that wedding feeling invisible, hoping no one would notice me, grieving a man who never came back. I agreed to your lie because I needed to feel chosen just once. My chest tightened. We sat in that silence, not awkward but sacred. I do not want a savior, she said quietly. And I do not need a billionaire. I nodded. Then let me be something else. She looked at me. Really looked. Like she was searching for the man beneath the suits, the headlines, the empire. Then she said the one thing I was not prepared to hear. Then start by telling me your real name. Not the one they write on business magazines. The one your mother gave you. I blinked. The weight of it almost shattered me. I whispered, Daniel. And she smiled. For the first time, like the sun had finally come out after a long, cruel winter. She stood, walked to the window, pulled aside the curtain just enough for sunlight to pour in and dance across her face. Daniel, she repeated, as if tasting the name. It suits you more than the man in the tuxedo ever did. I rose from my seat, unsure if I should step closer. She did not stop me. I joined her by the window. Below, children played in the courtyard. Their laughter echoed between cracked bricks and fading paint. The world outside was raw and imperfect, much like the world inside me. She pointed at a little girl trying to fly a paper kite. Do you see her? I nodded. She does not know the wind will tear it. She does not care if it falls. She just wants to feel it fly, even if only for a moment. I swallowed hard. There was more truth in that image than in all the boardrooms I had ever sat in. Eliza, I said, my voice softer now, when I was younger, I believed success would heal me. That if I earned enough, I would matter enough. But standing here beside you in this tiny room, I feel like I finally arrived somewhere real. She turned toward me, eyes glistening, but steady. There was no pity in them. Only reflection, recognition. Then stop trying to arrive, she said. Just be here. With all your brokenness, all your truth. I nodded. Something inside me cracked. Not in pain, but in release. She placed her hand over my heart. Fingers light. But the warmth went deep. You carry too much, she whispered. Let it go, at least while you are with me. I closed my eyes. And for the first time in years, I breathed. Not like a man chasing. Not like a man proving. But like a man being. I opened my eyes slowly. Her hand was still on my chest. And for the first time in a very long time, the storm inside me quieted. No stock tickers. No investors. No headlines. Just the sound of her breath. And the steady beat of something I thought I had lost, peace. "Eliza," I said, "my world is loud. It is ruthless. It chews up souls and sells smiles. But this moment with you, it feels like a place I want to live in, not just visit." She looked at me, not with awe, but with the tenderness of someone who had seen pain and chose kindness anyway. "You do not have to impress me, Daniel." She smiled. "Your silence says more than your success ever could." We stood there, just inches apart, and yet the space between us held a kind of truth that no contract ever could. She finally stepped back, walked toward the table, and picked up a book. "Do you read?" she asked, turning it over in her hands. I laughed softly. "Spreadsheets, mostly." She raised an eyebrow. "That is not reading. That is surviving." She offered me the book. Dog-eared, worn, full of notes in the margins. A novel about loss and healing. One I had bought once long ago, but never opened. I took it from her. Felt the weight of it. Felt the weight of her trust. "I want to know who you are when no one is looking," she said. "Not the man on magazine covers. The man who misses his mother. The man who still carries guilt over things that were never his fault." The room grew quiet again. But this time, it did not feel empty. It felt sacred. Like I had been invited into something rare. Not love, not yet. But the soil where love begins. Then her phone rang. She picked it up, her expression changing. Eyes narrowing. "I have to go," she said, grabbing her coat. "There is a student, one of mine. Emergency at the hospital." I stepped aside, letting her pass. But before she reached the door, I asked, "Can I come with you?" She paused, looked over her shoulder, and nodded. "Only if you come as Daniel." I grabbed my jacket, heart pounding, not from fear, but from finally walking towards something real. We rode in silence. Her small car rattled over potholes like it was held together by faith alone. The city outside had changed since I last really looked at it. Not from behind tinted glass. Not from the back seat of a chauffeured ride. But from here. With her. The streets were lined with tired buildings and brighter souls. Vendors selling flowers that had seen better mornings. Children weaving through traffic with backpacks too big for their shoulders. Life. Unpolished. Unfiltered. Undeniably alive. She parked outside a rundown hospital. The paint on the sign peeled like old regrets. The waiting benches were crowded with worn faces and restless prayers. We walked in. She led me down narrow corridors lit by flickering fluorescent lights. Every step echoing off the tile. Every breath reminding me this was a world I had once known. And once abandoned. A nurse nodded at her. "Room 304, she whispered. Eliza turned to me, her voice low. "His name is Miguel. 12 years old. Heart condition. Mother works 3 jobs." They nearly turned him away, until the school called me. I nodded, following her. When we entered the room, Miguel was lying still. Too still for someone so young. His skin was pale, lips slightly blue. But his eyes, when they fluttered open, were full of stubborn fire. "Eliza," he croaked. She rushed to his side, taking his tiny hand. "I told you I would come." He smiled weakly. "You always do." I stood frozen. Something inside me cracked again. Not in grief this time, but in rage. How could a child like this be denied care? while I had spent millions on marble flooring in boardrooms no one cared to sit in. I stepped closer. Miguel looked up at me.
"Who is he?" he asked.
Eliza looked over her shoulder.
"A friend," she said.
"Someone who needs to remember what truly matters."
I took Miguel's other hand. It was cold. So small. I leaned down.
"My name is Daniel. And I promise, starting today, things are going to change for you."
He blinked at me. Not with awe. Not with disbelief. Just quiet hope.
The kind of hope I had once buried to survive. And in that moment, I knew why Eliza had let me in.
Not to save her,
but so she could help me save myself. Miguel's fingers gripped mine, weak but certain. His eyes searched my face, like he was trying to see if I meant it. If I was just another promise the world would forget.
I nodded. Slowly. Firmly. He did not speak. But he smiled.
And that smile pierced something deep in me. Something buried beneath years of ambition and armor. Eliza stood by the window, arms folded across her chest.
Watching. Not judging. Not doubting.
Just waiting to see if I would follow through.
I turned to the nurse.
"What is the estimate for his surgery?"
She hesitated.
"Eliza said you were a friend, not a—" "I am whatever he needs me to be," I interrupted. "My name is Daniel Ashcroft."
Her eyes widened.
I rarely used my full name. Never outside business. But this was not business.
This was personal.
"This hospital," I said slowly, "does it have what he needs?"
She shook her head. "No.
His case is too complex. There is a cardiac unit across the city. They refused him last week. Insufficient insurance coverage." Eliza flinched, as if hearing it again scraped against her ribs.
"Call them," I said.
"Tell them he is coming."
Under my name. Under my cost.
The nurse's hands trembled as she scribbled it down and rushed out.
Eliza walked over. Silent.
"I did not do that for you," I said.
"I know."
"I did not do it for appearances, either."
"I know." I turned to her.
And for a moment, the weight of who I had been,
of who I was trying to become,
pressed down so hard, I nearly staggered. But her eyes held me up.
Not her hands. Her faith.
"You think this makes you a good man?" she asked softly.
"No," I replied.
"But it is a start."
She nodded.
Then she placed her hand on my chest again, just like before. But this time, she whispered something new. "Now you just have to keep showing up." I looked down at her. At this woman who had entered my life with no agenda. No angle. Just honesty. And a heart that refused to let mine rot in silence. Miguel had fallen asleep. His hand still curled in mine. Outside, the sun had begun to set. And for the first time in years, the night did not feel like something to fear. We stood there, side by side, watching over a boy whose fight was far too big for his tiny frame. Eliza's shoulder brushed against mine.
No words. Just presence. Just truth.
A nurse entered quietly. "Transport will be here in 10 minutes."
I nodded.
Eliza stepped forward to gather Miguel's things.
A worn-out backpack.
A crumpled drawing of a spaceship. A small photo of his mother. I picked up the photo. The woman in it looked exhausted. But her eyes held that same fire I saw in Miguel. "Where is she?" I asked. Eliza answered without turning.
"Double shift."
She begged the hospital to keep him until she could come.
They said no.
She cried in the parking lot for an hour. I felt it again.
That guilt. That shame.
That hunger, not for more wealth,
but for redemption.
Eliza, I said, once Miguel is safe, I want to do more.
She paused,
Looked at me with quiet curiosity.
More.
For others like him. For the families turned away.
For the children forgotten.
I want to start a foundation.
Not in my name.
Not for recognition. But because I cannot unsee this anymore.
Her eyes softened.
And for the first time, I saw pride in them. Not the empty pride of society's applause, but the kind that blooms from watching someone choose to become better.
She reached into her coat, pulled out a folded piece of paper.
What is this?
I asked. Names, she said.
Other kids.
Other stories.
I have been collecting them for years. No one ever listened.
I unfolded it.
Tears stung my eyes before I could stop them.
8 names. 3 crossed out. Too late.
I swallowed the lump in my throat.
Then we start tonight, I said.
No more being too late. Eliza looked at me,
studied me, and then she nodded. Not in agreement, but in solidarity. The door creaked open.
2 paramedics stepped inside.
It was time.
I helped them lift Miguel gently.
He stirred. Am I going to be okay? He whispered. I bent down,
met his gaze. You are going to fly, kid.
He smiled. And for a second,
I saw the paper kite again, dancing in the wind,
unafraid of the fall. 6 months later,
I stood beneath a modest banner that read, The Eliza Hope Foundation, No Child Denied. Children played in the courtyard of the new wing we opened that day. Some had tubes in their noses. Others wore scars like battle medals. But every single one of them was smiling. Miguel ran toward me, stronger now, his chest scar healing, his laughter louder than any applause I had ever received.
Daniel, he shouted,
gripping my hand like the day we met. I drew something for you.
It was a picture.
A man in a suit, standing beside a boy with a kite. Above them, a woman with a glowing heart.
I framed it, not in gold, but in memory.
Eliza walked up beside me, hair caught in the breeze, eyes still full of purpose. You built an empire, she said, but here, you built a legacy.
I turned to her. No, we did. She smiled, soft and certain.
The same way she had that night at the wedding, when a stranger whispered a lie. That would become the most honest thing in his life. Later that evening, we sat under a canopy of stars.
No gala, no photographers, just us.
And the sound of children's laughter floating through the night air. Eliza, I said quietly, you saved me from a world I created but never truly lived in. You showed me that love does not arrive with applause. It whispers its way in, until it becomes the loudest truth you know.
She reached for my hand. You were never broken, Daniel. Only buried.
You just needed someone to see you beneath the weight of what the world told you to be. I looked up at the sky.
The stars were quiet,
but they witnessed everything.
In the end,
this story was never about wealth,
or fame,
or even redemption. It was about remembering that even in the loneliest places, someone may be waiting to sit beside you, to see you, to believe in you.
And sometimes, a whispered lie
can lead you to the truest love of your life. Moral of the story: never underestimate the quiet souls sitting alone in a crowded room. Sometimes, the richest journeys begin not with success,
but with sincerity. Not with power, but with presence.
And not with having everything, but with choosing to give what truly matters. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it touched your heart, please share it, leave a comment below, and remind someone today. You are never alone.